The House will come to order. Members will be at their seats. The clerk has opened the roll and you may record your presence. Please rise and give your attention to our guest chaplain, Pastor Carl Helm, Marian Christian Church, Marion, Kansas, guest of Representative Scott Hill, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Representative Concanon.
Thank you for this opportunity. I pastored in Kansas for a long time. Been in every county except one. Don't know if I'll ever make that one, but I know Elkhart's in it. So I just appreciate the work that you do because I think we all love this state of Kansas. So let us pray. Oh Lord, you are holy and we are not. Yet you have sanctified this group to lead, and may they lead with the servant's heart. The people of this incredible state have chosen this group to represent them. In this perilous time in history, give this body the wisdom to know exactly what decisions to make for the betterment of the great state of Kansas. May each member of this House experience your peace, your love, and your direction today. I ask this in the name of Jesus, amen.
Body, at this time, I would like to welcome back Representatives Hauser and Representative Heiberger from their medical hiatuses. So thank you and welcome back. Additionally, I would also like to welcome back former Representatives David French and Kent Thompson, who are along the south wall. As every member had the opportunity to record their presence. The clerk will close the roll and record the attendance. The Speaker recognizes Representative Pickert on a point of personal privilege.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, body. Today I have the privilege of introducing seniors from Southeast High School located in Wichita, USD 259, and my District 88. Southeast High School is one of the largest high schools in Wichita with student enrollment of 2,045 and 123 teachers. The students here with us today are in the semester-long government class taught by Tanya Howard. I had the honor of sharing my experience as a legislator last November in her 5 government classes. Her classroom environment is one of respectful dialogue. Tanya Howard challenges her students to know by name their city councilman or councilwoman, county commissioner, state representative, and senator, as well as federal legislators, how to contact their elected officials about issues of concern, and what to consider when deciding who to vote for. These students are informed on current issues. Several students have registered to vote. I'm very encouraged about the future of these students as engaged citizens focused on making a difference in their community, thanks to what they're learning in their government class. Tanya Howard is to be commended for her efforts spent to secure a grant rather than using school or students' personal funds to pay for the trip to the Capitol for 50 students to observe Kansas government in action. Here with me, and raise your hand when I say your name, are Citlali Martinez, Clara Mimby, Damia Bowler, Danielle Tucker, Eden Williams Parker, Grace Burrows, Laura Cole, Maya Rubio, Raven Persifield, and teacher Tanya Howard. Please help me recognize these students and the Southeast High School government students and chaperones in the gallery. And at this time, I'd like to give a special recognition to Tanya Howard for her amazing ability to connect with students in a caring, positive, and encouraging manner, empowering them to become informed, engaged citizens of their community, state, and country. Mr. Speaker, I request that my words be spread across the journal.
Without objection, so ordered. Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 2819 by the Committee on Taxation, requested by Representative Adam Smith on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners of Rawlins County. An act concerning sales and compensating use tax relating to city and county-wide retailers' sales tax, providing county-wide retailers' sales tax authority for Rawlins County for the purpose of financing costs of attendance centers or other district facilities. House Bill 2820 by Committee on Appropriations, requested by Representative Croft. An act concerning infrastructure relating to drone technology, prohibiting the acquisition of critical components of drone technology from countries of concern, requiring the divestiture of such technology. House Concurrent Resolution 5025 by Committee on Taxation, requested by Representative Adam Smith on behalf of the 2023 Special Committee on Taxation. A proposition to amend Section 1 of Article 11 of the Constitution of the State of Kansas relating to property taxation, valuing residential real property based on the average fair market value of the prior 10 calendar years.
Introduction of original motions and House resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Resolution 6041 by Representatives Thompson, Curtis, and others. A resolution congratulating Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas on its 130th anniversary in 2024.
On H.R. 6041, the Speaker recognizes Representative Thompson and Representative Curtis for a motion to adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Any others that signed on to this resolution, please meet us here at the well. Today, we come before you with a resolution congratulating Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas on its 130th anniversary in 2024. The Goodwill facility is located within each of our districts, and we celebrate Goodwill's anniversary with Kristen Wood, Director of Grants and Advocacy, and Jay Kitterling, Chief of Financial Officer for Goodwill. Welcome, sir.
When asked to sign on to this resolution, I shared a special connection and was asked to share this with you all. Edgar J. Helms founded what would become Goodwill Industries International Incorporated in Boston in 1902. He graduated from Cornell College located in Mount Vernon, Iowa in 1889. Edgar J. Helms and I share an alma mater, and Cornell College students, alumni, and staff are still celebrating his contributions that match so well with our tradition of service and leadership. So it is an honor to recognize his legacy on the floor of the Kansas House of Representatives today.
And now to present the resolution. A resolution congratulating Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas on its 130th anniversary in 2024. Whereas the Helping Hand Institute was founded in Kansas City, Missouri in 1894 to provide food, shelter, and a work relief program for those who were homeless and without resources. And whereas Goodwill Industries was founded in 1902 with the mission of collecting household goods to be repaired and sold to support the program and hiring and training individuals with disabilities and disadvantages. And whereas the Goodwill Industries of Greater Kansas City opened its first repair shop in 1925 at St. Peter's Evangelist Church on Oak Street, where it impacted the community over several decades through the provision of employment skills, training, and vocational rehabilitation for persons with disabilities and disadvantages. And whereas the Helping Hand Institute and Goodwill Industries of Greater Kansas City merged in 1978 to form the Helping Hand of Goodwill Industries, which in 2010 was changed to its present name, Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas, otherwise known simply as Goodwill. And
Whereas today, Goodwill continues to be a nonprofit leader in the Kansas City region, providing resources and services to individuals who face barriers to obtaining employment, including one-on-one career navigation and employment services, wraparound services, digital skills training, digital navigation services, reentry services, and occupational training within the Goodwill Artemis Institute courses, which as a bridge to technology and certified manufacturing associate. And whereas Goodwill continues to support the community by directly employing 700 people, offering janitorial services to government and commercial customers, operating 17 donated goods retail stores and 1 outlet center, which provides inexpensive household items for clothing of the community while at the same time diverting such items from landfills. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Kansas that we congratulate Goodwill of Western Missouri and Western Kansas on its 130th anniversary of empowering people and strengthening communities in Eastern Kansas. Colleagues, please join with us in recognition of our guests and celebrating Goodwill's 130th anniversary of service to our community. Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, I request that the resolution be adopted and our remarks be spread across the journal.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. And without objection, so ordered. Introduction of original motions and House resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Resolution Number 6042 by Representatives Martinez, Alcala, and others. A resolution celebrating the historic and immense contributions of the Hispanic and Latino communities to the United States and Kansas economies.
On H.R. 6042, the Speaker recognizes Representative Martinez for a motion to adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body. Good morning. This resolution was initially meant to be read in yesterday at our Latina Day at the Capitol, so I regret that we don't have our group in the balcony, but they are watching. Many of them are watching. I'm proud to say that we had representation from just about every congressional district in Kansas, who showed up here yesterday. So I hope that some of you got to meet them. Latina Day at the Capitol was a day to learn about the legislative process, meet legislators, and network with one another to share about the incredible work that they are doing across Kansas in communities and local governments, advocating for positive change and addressing disparities in the Hispanic Latino communities. These women are mothers and sisters, and they are also entrepreneurs and leaders. I couldn't help but be reminded that we are a result of the sacrifice and journey of those before us who have paved the way for progress and growth, often in the face of immense challenges and adversity, those that have helped build and reshape the state of Kansas and this great country. And now for the resolution. A resolution celebrating the historic and immense contributions of the Hispanic and Latino communities to the United States and Kansas economies. Whereas March 6, 2024 is recognized as Latina Day at the Capitol to celebrate and honor the achievements of Latino women throughout the history of the United States and Kansas. And whereas since the late 1800s, particularly during the times of railroad expansion, Hispanic and Latino communities have served as an invaluable asset to the United States and Kansas economies. And whereas the first Mexican guest worker program lasting from 1917 through 1921 and the second guest worker program known as the Bracero program lasting from 1942 to 1964 brought over 4.5 million Hispanic and Latino guest workers to the United States to work in agricultural and railroad industries and support the United States economy during World War I and World War II. And whereas in 2022, Hispanic and Latino individuals accounted for 93% of H-2A visa recipients, a vital program that contributes to the well-being of the agriculture of the United States. And whereas there are 63.7 million Hispanic and Latino individuals throughout the United States and over 382,000 Latinos residing specifically in Kansas. And whereas Hispanic and Latinos contribute to society by working in many important industries, including agriculture, construction, hospitality, meat packaging, food services, and public service across the United States and Kansas. Whereas Southwest Kansas Hispanic and Latinos communities held more than $595 million in spending power and paid nearly $80 million in state and local taxes in 2019. Whereas there are currently 12.6 million Latinas in the United States workforce, comprising 15% of the wider female workforce, a statistic that continues to grow. And whereas Hispanic and Latino communities make up 5.6% of small business owners in Kansas and approximately 10% of small business owners nationwide. And whereas Latino entrepreneurs represent nearly half of all Latino businesses and create businesses 6 times faster than any group in the United States. Whereas Latinos continue to break through barriers and thrive in spite of adversity, and whereas leadership organizations such as the Latino Community Network, Advocates for Immigrant Rights and Reconciliation, and Diversidad Latina continue to promote civic engagement, education, and advocacy in Hispanic communities and Latino communities throughout Kansas. And whereas the social fabric of the United States and Kansas has been enriched by Hispanic and Latino heritage, culture, and traditions, now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Kansas that we celebrate the Hispanic and Latino communities for their historic and immense contributions to the United States and Kansas economies. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move my resolution 6042 and ask that my remarks be spread across the journal.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. And without objection, so ordered. Final action on bills and concurrent resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 2676, an act by the Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure relating to crimes against persons, creating the crime of encouraging suicide and providing criminal penalties therefor.
This constitutes final action on House Bill 2676. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing none, with 119 having voted in favor and 1 against the passage of House Bill 2676, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. Clerk will read.
House Bill 2749 by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act concerning abortion relating to reports on abortion performed in the state, requiring the reporting of the reasons for each abortion performed at a medical care facility or by a health care provider.
This constitutes final action on House Bill 2749. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? Clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? For an explanation, Representative Melton.
Thank you. We just want to have more information and make sure we're making the right decision for these women. This was a quote from yesterday, and I firmly believe we have no business in this type of decision. The voters spoke on August 2nd, and for that, I vote no on House Bill 2749.
Any further explanations of vote? Representative Oropeza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I vote no today and stand before you today to convey our responsibility to inform all patients, Kansan citizens and non-Kansans alike, that they have the right to refuse to answer any and all questions asked by a healthcare provider. And in saying this, I am joined by my colleagues, Representative Reese, Representative Carmichael, Representative Hoagland, Representative McDonald, Representative Melton, Representative Carr, Representative Haswood, Representative Carlin, Representative Schlingensliepen, Representative Woodard, Representative Martinez, Representative S. Reese, Representative Meyer, Representative Haskins, Representative Joella Hoy, Representative Vaughn, Representative Weigel, Representative Miller, and Representative S. Miller. And if any other additional colleagues would like to sign on, I still have the paperwork. Thank you.
For further explanations of votes, the speaker recognizes Representative Penn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise and tell you the reason that I did my vote for support of this particular bill is because of something that was said here yesterday. There was a reference made to the Tuskegee experiment, and I found that highly offensive because if you actually read about the Tuskegee experiment, those individuals, those Black men, had horrific things done to their bodies. That is not what this bill does at all. I would ask that you not conflate the two issues, and if you do, know that you're being highly disrespectful, and just not even factual in your connection. So I ask that you all support this amendment.
For further explanation of the vote, the speaker recognizes Representative Landwehr.
Thank you. I rise in support of House Bill 2749. Knowledge is power. And with more knowledge about why women are seeking abortion comes empowerment of choice. According to the Guttmacher Institute, an abortion advocacy research organization, quote, understanding women's reasons for having an abortion can inform public debate and policy regarding abortion and unwanted pregnancy, unquote. Keep in mind, Guttmacher was started by Planned Parenthood and still has a connection. I couldn't agree more with what they said on their website. House Bill 2749 is essential, narrowly tailored legislation that both pro-life and pro-choice people should be able to agree upon. Kansas women facing an unplanned pregnancy in future years will be the ultimate winners. Representative Landwehr, Representative Chuck Smith, Representative Hoheisel, Representative Anderson.
Representative, you are out of time. Okay. Any further explanations of vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing none, with 81 having voted in favor and 39 against the passage of House Bill 2749, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The speaker recognizes the majority leader for a motion to resolve into the committee of the whole.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the purposes of considering those items under the heading of general orders.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and the speaker appoints Representative Bourgeon to chair the committee of the whole.
Good morning, colleagues. The first item of business is House Bill 2665. For the purpose of carrying House Bill 2665, the chair recognizes Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise before the body to present House Bill 2665. The bill comes to the floor from the Corrections and Juvenile Justice Committee. There are no committee amendments. This bill will have no, excuse me, this bill will have no fiscal effect on the agency operations. The proponents for this bill are the Kansas Sheriff's Association, the Kansas Peace Officers Association, the Kansas Association of Chiefs of Police, a private citizen who lost her child to a hit and run, and written proponent from Sedgwick County District Attorney. There were no opponents or neutral arguments. This bill enhances the criminal penalties for persons who leave the scene of an accident without notifying law enforcement or medical and do not render aid when they knew or should have known that death or great bodily harm is likely to have occurred. The proponents of this bill argue that it is common reasonable suspicion and/or conclusion that individuals who are involved in an accident and leave the scene when death or great bodily harm occur are doing so due to being under the influence of alcohol or drugs, or to avoid detention and apprehension for another crime such as warrants, driver's license violations, etc. Proponents point to the lack of severity of punishment for leaving such scenes as the motive to do so, rather than being charged for those associated crimes. This bill will make the crime a substantial penalty for someone to discourage them leaving and possibly save lives by staying to render aid or call for medical assistance. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of HB 2665. I appreciate the representative's explanation of the bill. While I am very doubtful that an increase of 4 to 9 months in the penalty for leaving the scene of an injury or fatality accident is going to deter anyone from leaving the scene of such an accident, if this bill gives some solace to those who've been the victims of hit-and-run drivers or those who've lost loved ones because of hit-and-run drivers, it only costs us one additional bed in the jailhouse, and I therefore will be voting aye. Thank you.
If there is no further discussion, Representative Butler, you may close.
Mr. Chair, I move that when the body rises to report, it reports House Bill 2665 favorable for passage.
You have heard the motion by Representative Butler to report House Bill 2665 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is approved. The next item of business is Senate Bill 338. For the purposes of carrying Senate Bill 338, the chair recognizes Representative Howe.
Thank you, Chair. There were amendments. I move the adoption of the committee.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. You can continue.
All right. I rise before the body to present Senate Bill 338. Senate Bill 338 passed out of the House as House Bill 2532. It extends the financial audit deadline for group-funded pools and group-funded workers' compensation pools, and also eliminates an unnecessary notification requirement. This bill extends the deadline by 30 days. Pools have communicated a need for this extension as it has been difficult to complete audits on time. And in current law, the group-funded workers' compensation pools must notify the insurance commissioner when a member leaves or is terminated from a pool within 10 days. The insurance department has determined that this notification is not necessary and it is unnecessary regulation. Senate Bill 338 passed out of the Senate 40-0. And with that, I stand for questions.
Does any member wish to speak to the bill? Representative Neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and excellent job by the carrier of the bill. Just a little bit of information on this too. We in insurance oftentimes hear bills that have been on both sides of the House, in the House and in the Senate, and so they have what they call companion bills. Some of these bills, when they are combined during the committee, then become shells. And that's not a bad thing. But just so that you know, this gives an opportunity for bills that come up later in the session that don't have a home to give them a home. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. But this is a very important bill. As the carrier said, it increases the number of days to allow from 150 to 180 days. And that helps the insurance companies. And so with that, I would ask for your support. Thank you very much.
Seeing no further discussion, you may close.
Thank you, Chair. I move that when the body rises to report, they report Senate Bill 338 favorably for passage as amended.
You have heard the motion by Representative Howe to report Senate Bill 338 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Passes. For the purposes of carrying Senate Bill 339, the chair recognizes Representative Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There were committee amendments. I move the adoption of the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Those same size, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Body, Senate Bill 339 is the risk-based capital bill. We see it every year. It is the annual date change. Yes, we voted on it before. And when we voted on it back in February, it was 108 to 15. And all we're doing is changing the risk-based capital date from 2022 to 2023. Pretty simple bill, and I'll stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, you heard this bill in the form of a House bill, and the carrier did an excellent job of describing the bill. So I'd ask for your support. Thank you very much.
Seeing no further discussion, Representative Blue, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that when the body rises and reports, it passes out Senate Bill 339 favorably for passage.
You have heard the motion by Representative Blue to report Senate Bill 339 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The next item of business is Senate Bill 356. For the purpose of carrying Senate Bill 356, the chair recognizes Representative Essex.
Good morning. Mr. Chair, there were committee amendments. I move the adoption of the committee report.
You've all heard the motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. You may continue.
All right, Senate Bill 356, it is Insurance Day, passed out of the Senate 40-0. The bill concerns financial examinations of insurance companies. In Kansas, the Kansas Insurance Department conducts financial examinations on all domestic insurance companies at least once every 4 years. The actual cost of the examination incurred by the department is invoiced to the insurance company. Sometimes the department must utilize external contractual services to find the expertise necessary for the examination. So specifically, the department can only charge up to $50,000 or up to $500,000 for those external services, depending on the size of the insurance company. However, with the actual cost incurred by the department, there is no maximum charge amount. So the insurance department's efforts to make it easier to do business for insurance companies, this is one of those that caps the fees. So SB 356 establishes an overall maximum amount the department can charge insurance companies for the cost of a financial examination. Naturally, these exams are cheaper for the smaller insurance companies and more expensive for the larger insurance companies, but the bill establishes a 7-tiered schedule that reflects that. If the cost of a financial examination would exceed the maximum amounts listed in SB 356, that extra cost would be assumed by the department, hence the fiscal note, if you'll notice. The committee amendments were that we replaced the word reasonable with average and reasonable, and it carried unanimously in the committee. The House committee also amended the bill to change the enactment of the bill to upon publication in the Kansas Register. Proponents were Eric Turk from the Kansas Insurance Department and the Kansas Association of Property and Casualty Insurance. I stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The carrier of the bill did an excellent job in relating the information. I was told to make mine short and sweet because people would like lunch today. So I would ask for your support of Senate Bill 356.
The chair now recognizes Representative Curtis.
Would the carrier of the bill please stand for a question? Hello, Representative.
Hello.
So I'm curious, have we seen this legislation in the House this session?
Honestly,
in the form of a House bill?
it was under the line and disappeared, so not that I know of.
Okay, so we did not advance that House bill that had the same contents?
I did not. I did not see it go above the line ever.
Okay, do you happen to know what the House bill, what our companion House bill would have been?
You know what? That's a great question. Can you give me a moment to get that?
Absolutely. Yes, you're welcome.
That took me a minute.
Okay.
It was HB 2533.
Okay.
And we did not hear it in the House. This is something we definitely need to make sure we pass.
Okay, thank you, Representative. My concern, of course, was just that we are helping create what are potentially going to become shells and coming back to us in different forms. So that's my concern in some of these insurance bills that are on both sides. So I was just wanting to make sure that we, where that one was. So thank you.
Understood. Thank
Yeah,
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, Representative Essex, you may close. Oh, hold off, Representative Neighbor for a second time. My apologies.
No, I was waving because I turned my light out. One of the things on this particular bill is we knew there was a companion bill, or the leadership did. And so they did not choose to run this above the line before turnaround. This is not a bill that you have previously voted on. So just for clarification, and I would ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, Representative Essex, you may close.
Mr. Chair, I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports SB 356 favorably for passage.
You have heard the motion by Representative Essex to report Senate Bill 356 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. For the next item of business is Senate Bill 398. For the purposes of carrying Senate Bill 398, the chair recognizes Representative Berquist.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There were committee amendments. I move the committee report.
You have heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes and the committee report is adopted. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 398 is an act authorizing Commissioner of Insurance to set the amount of certain fees and requiring publication of such fees in the Kansas Register. SB 398 amends several statutes that govern fees and fines within the Chapter 40 of the Kansas statutes. The amount of these fees and fines are established in current law and pertain to applications, filings, licensure, renewals, certificates and of authority, and et cetera. The bill would grant flexibility to the Kansas Insurance Commissioner and their staff to lower over 100 fees and fines within the statute, not to exceed what is currently in statute. In 2023, the legislature overwhelmingly passed 2090, and the bill was signed into law, both the House and the Senate. One of the provisions of that bill granted the commissioner the flexibility to lower insurance agency and agency licensure fees. Per that bill, the commissioner must establish these fees in the Kansas Register. She did lower those fees, and it is estimated that it was a $1.2 million savings in the industry. SB 398 builds off of those successes and would allow the commissioner the flexibility to lower over 100 fees for the sake of efficiency. And if the Kansas Insurance Department can continue regular operations while reducing revenues, we feel that they should do that and have that flexibility to do that at least. Kansas live within their own means. The government should be able to operate no differently. The bill passed out of the Senate February the 22nd, 40-0. And again, there was one proponent, and that was the Insurance Department with Eric Turk as the spokesperson. I would stand for questions, Mr. Chair.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was heard, a form of it in 2023 This is not one you've heard this year. They modeled it after the bill that was passed in 2023. And in effect, what the insurance department has done is lower fees quite extensively for insurance agencies and agents. And they have saved business quite a bit of money. So I would ask for your support, and the carrier of the bill did an excellent job in his description. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no other discussion, Representative Berquist, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that when the committee rise and reports, it report SB 398 favorably for passage.
You have heard the motion by Representative Berquist to report Senate Bill 398 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion passes. This concludes our general orders. The chair recognizes the majority leader.
Mr. Chair, I move you rise and report.
You've heard the motion to rise and report. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes.
The clerk will read the committee report.
Mr. Speaker, your committee of the whole recommends that House Bill 2665 be passed, Senate Bills 338, 339, 356, and 398 be passed as amended.
The speaker recognizes Representative Bourgeon to adopt the committee of the whole report.
Mr. Chair, I move the committee report.
You've all heard the motion to adopt the committee report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. The speaker recognizes Representative Croft for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to House Rule 2311, I move that an emergency be declared and House Bill 2665, Senate Bill 338, Senate Bill 339, Senate Bill 356, Senate Bill 398 be advanced to the order of business final action.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Final action on bills and concurrent resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 2665 by the Committee on Corrections and Juvenile Justice, an act concerning motor vehicles relating to violations of the Uniform Act regulating traffic on highways, increasing criminal penalties for a driver who leaves the scene of a vehicular accident while the accident results in the death of any person or more than one person if the driver knew or reasonably should have known that such accident resulted in injury or death.
This constitutes final action on House Bill 2665. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Representative Schilling-Siepen votes aye. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing none, with 120 having voted in favor and 0 against the passage of House Bill 2665, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. Clerk will record the vote. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 338 by the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance, an act concerning insurance relating to group-funded liability and group-funded workers' compensation pools, changing certain reporting requirements.
This constitutes final action on Senate Bill 338. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Representative Ellis votes aye. Representative Oropeza. Speaker recognizes Representative Oropeza for an explanation of vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I vote no on SB 338 today because the intent is to use this bill as a shell. In no way do I oppose these updates to policies. However, knowing the intent of this Senate bill, I must vote no to protect transparency for the voters of the state of Kansas, and I am joined by colleagues. Thank you.
For the changes of votes, Representative Beeler votes aye. Representative Clayton votes aye. Representative Robinson votes aye. Any further changes? Seeing none, with 103 having voted in favor and 17 against the passage of Senate Bill 338, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 339 by the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance. An act concerning insurance relating to risk-based capital requirements, updating the version of instructions in effect.
This constitutes final action on Senate Bill 339. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? For an explanation, the speaker recognizes Representative Oropeza.
Mr. Speaker, I vote no on SB 339 today because the intent is used as a shell bill. In no way do I oppose these updates to policies. However, knowing the intent of this Senate bill, I must vote no to protect transparency for the voters of the state of Kansas. Representative Oropeza, Milton, Carr, Martinez, Dennis Miller, Poskin, and 2 others.
Remember, body, when you are filling out an explanation of vote, please print your name, then sign your name. Any further explanations of votes? Seeing none. Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Representative Humphreys votes aye. Any further changes? Seeing none, with 103 having voted in favor and 17 against the passage of Senate Bill 339, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 356 by the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance, an act concerning insurance relating to examinations requiring the insurance examiner per diem amounts and expenses, outside consulting and data processing fees, and pro rata funding for examination equipment and software be reasonable, establishing a tiered fee structure for examinations of insurance companies and societies based on gross premiums.
This constitutes final action on Senate Bill 356. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Representative Melton votes no. Any further changes? Seeing none, with 109 having voted in favor and 11 against the passage of Senate Bill 356, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 398 by the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance, an act concerning insurance relating to the powers, duties, and responsibilities of the Commissioner of Insurance, authorizing the Commissioner of Insurance to set the amount of certain fees, requiring the publication of such fees in the Kansas Register.
This constitutes final action on Senate Bill 398. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? Clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? For an explanation, the Speaker recognizes Representative Oropeza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I vote no on Senate Bill 398 today because the intent is to use this bill as a shell bill. In no way do I oppose these updates to policies. However, knowing the intent of the Senate bill, I must vote no to protect transparency for the voters of the state of Kansas. I am also joined by Representative Melton, Representative Carr, Representative Martinez, Representative Miller, and Poskins. And if anybody else would like to sign, please let me know. Thank you.
Any further explanations of votes? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Members will be in their seats. Seeing no further changes. With 103 having voted in favor and 17 against the passage of Senate Bill 398, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
The Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources Budget recommends Senate Bill 347 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. The Committee on Water recommends Senate Bill 331 be passed. The Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources recommends Senate Bill 336 as amended by Senate Committee be passed, and that because the committee is of the opinion that the bill is of a non-controversial nature be placed on the consent calendar. The Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources recommends House Bill 2816 be passed. The Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources recommends House Bill 2800 be passed. The Committee on K-12 Education Budget recommends House Bill 2521 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. The Committee on Veterans and Military recommends Senate Bill 431 be passed. The Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications recommends House Bill 2527 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. The Committee on Education recommends Senate Bill 360 as amended by Senate Committee be passed. The Committee on Calendar and Printing recommends on requests for certificates that requests by Representatives Kessler, Neighbor, Christie Williams, Osmond, Poskin, Johnson, Underhill, Sawyer Clayton, Francis Pickert, Amix Bourgeon, Laura Williams, Mon, Butler, Tarwater, and Mosier be approved, and that the Chief Clerk of the House be directed to order the printing of said certificates.
The Speaker recognizes the Majority Leader to adopt the calendar and printing report.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of the calendar and printing report.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries. The clerk will read.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Federal and State Affairs recommends House Bill 2807 be passed.
Is there any objection to returning to that order of business, introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions? Seeing no objection, the clerk will read.
House Bill 2821 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, requested by Representative Penn. An act concerning administrative rules and regulations, creating the Regulatory Relief Division within the Office of the Attorney General, establishing the General Regulatory Sandbox Program within the office thereof, authorizing the Regulatory Relief Division to waive or suspend state statutes and rules and regulations for program participants. House Bill 2822 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, requested by Mike O'Neill on behalf of the Kansas Policy Institute. An act concerning the Open Records Act, extending limitations on fees charged for records by state agencies to include fees charged for records by political and taxing subdivisions. House Bill 2823 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, requested by Representative Will Carpenter. An act concerning the Residential Landlord-Tenant Act, creating an expedited process for eviction of persons not authorized to occupy the dwelling unit.
Representative Owsley replaces Representative Poskin on House Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development Committee on Thursday, March 7th for one day only. Representative Meyer replaces Representative Poskin on House K-12 Budget Committee on Thursday, March 7th for one day only. Representative Haskins replaces Representative Carmichael on House Judiciary Committee on Thursday, March 7th for one day only. Representative Carr replaces Representative Owsley on the House Appropriations Committee on Thursday, March 7th at 5 p.m. This appointment expires at the end of the day. Representative Vic Miller replaces Representative Alcala on the House Taxation Committee from Monday, March 11th, 2024 until Friday, March 15th, 2024. Representative Estes will replace Representative Schreiber on the House Committee on Judiciary on March 7th. This appointment will expire at the end of the day on March 7th. Representative Blake Carpenter will replace Representative Schmoy on the House Committee on K-12 Education Budget on March 11th. This appointment will expire at the end of the day on March 11th. Representative Howerton will replace Representative Schmoy on the House Committee on Financial Institutions on March 11th. This appointment will expire at the end of the day on March 11th. Are there announcements? Speaker recognizes Representative Waitmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Speaker Pro Tem mentioned, we are going back to try to finalize the budget at 5 p.m. So all appropriations members be back in 112 North at 5 p.m. for further discussion on the budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We put out a change to the agenda, but I just want to make sure everybody in the committee got the word. We will not be having a meeting of the House Committee on Elections today. The bill we were going to consider is no longer alive. Thank you.
Representative Auerkamp.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Small change of agenda for welfare reform. We are going to meet today, just a committee discussion on the homelessness topic and bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Auerkamp. Speaker recognizes Representative Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Sorry to drag you out so long, but I want to tell you what's been going on. Last Monday, I got diagnosed with a little bit of cancer. And then they found some on my lungs, so I'm going to miss some time. When you see an E, that means everybody pray.
Seeing no further announcements, the Speaker recognizes. Nope. The Speaker recognizes Representative Landwehr for an announcement.
Sorry about that. I thought I hit it before I came down. Health and Human Services does meet today at 1:30.
Seeing no further announcements, the Speaker recognizes the Majority Leader for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder, time change this weekend. Mr. Speaker, I move the House adjourn until Friday, March 8th at 8:30 a.m. pro forma.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.